Welcome back to Nibbles and Flicks, the podcast where snacks meet cinema, and we chew on everything from buttery popcorn to box office buzz. I'm your host, Jeff Fried, and in this video we're going to be diving in the movie F1. Before we start, don't forget to put in the comment section what is your favorite snack to eat at the movie theaters. Let's start a community about talking about snacks at movie theaters. What is your favorite one? And maybe you might see someone else's and be interested in trying it out next time you go to movie theaters. But let's get into the movie review. Sonny Hayes, a Formula One driver who raced in the 1990s, has a severe crash which forced him to retire from Formula One and start racing in other racing companies while he was working as a taxi driver. A Formula One team owner and friend, Ruben, contacts Hayes and asks him to come out of retirement to mentor rookie prodigy Joshua Noah Pierce for Apex Grand Prix team. With 9 races left to go, it's either sink or swim for this team to stay in a Formula One competition or to be sold to another owner. The movie is directed by Joseph Kosinski. He returns back from the scene after directing a film that might have saved theaters during the pandemic, Top Gun Maverick. The movie is also written by Joseph Kosinski and Aaron Cougar. The movie is starring Brad Pitt as Sonny Hayes, a retired Formula One driver, once a prodigy, is brought back into action. Damus Idris, who's played Joshua Pierce, a rookie driver of the 4-1 series who doesn't like Sonny coming for his spot. Javier Bardem has played Ruben, who is Sonny's friend and also the Apex team owner. Carrie has played Katie, Sony's love interest and engineer for the team. At CinemaCon, Warner Brothers had their presentation, and during the presentation, they showed some footage for F1. It was basically the first 10 minutes of the film, and during that whole presentation, I felt this movie was absolutely everything that I was hoping this film would be. It had that Top Gun Maverick feeling, the sound design, the shots they were taking, how they actually felt that we were actually in the car with Brad Pitt during the time was just absolutely exhilarating, and it just brings so much energy. So when this movie finally came out, I was very excited to see what they're going to do with the film. And, it just gave me those 1990s summer blockbuster movie vibes that just, this is what makes those movies so great. What makes Top Gun Maverick so great is that he brings that element into this film. So let's talk about it. Is something that is usually in reverse. They actually use style over substance, and that's what makes this movie very interesting and very good, because that's a rare way to actually make a movie really good and actually have success with it. And it has like that 90s vibes. People call it the dad films. I like to call it the classic blockbuster films, but I don't want to be called dad films because I like these type of films and I don't want to feel old yet. But anyway, it follows this certain formula, which I think those movies did very well back in the 90s. The movie is not trying to do anything new. It doesn't bring anything new to the formula. You're basically old brash guy comes back, young dude is a prodigy and feels threatened. They butt heads, and then they finally figure something out that they have common when they work together to achieve a goal or something like that. But Kosinski and all the actors in this movie elevated the plot and the dialogue, and everyone does a great job. And they make you forget how generic the storyline is. And that's what makes some of these classic blockbuster movies really good, is if you have good acting, you have good cinematography, good action, you kind of forget how plain and simple these movies are, and that's what they do. And that's what I like about this film. And when you do stuff like that, you get films like this and Top Gun Maverick. The chemistry between Brad Pitt and Damus Idris was actually fun to watch. I love the contrast between the two characters. On one side, one character who's retired, he was first Formula One because of a serious car accident during a race. He's down on his luck. He's a taxi driver, drive around the country doing these races, thrill of racing. And another guy who was a young gunslinger. He was a rookie in Formula One. He's brash, kind of like a swan when British, but he's very cocky. He feels like he knows what he's doing already. He doesn't want an old guy coming and stepping on his toes. And I just love how these two characters contrast, butt heads, just showing that, hey, one guy who's just here to help his friend, and another guy who's like here just trying to protect his territory. And that's what makes this relationship between these two very, very interesting. And I have to say, Damus does a fantastic job being on screen with Brad Pitt. He's there, he puts it at the same level as Brad Pitt too, make this character very believable. And I just love how he has basically become a better actor throughout the years too. And I'm very excited to see if he is tapped to play Black Panther. He can possibly bring a very good T'Challa on screen. And what is cool about his character is his journey. His journey is where you start first you don't like him because he's that cocky, arrogant young guy, but you slowly start liking him, and towards the end of the film you're like rooting for him, and that's what type of character he was. And even though, like I said before, it is a very shallow, very thin plot, however, when it comes to character development and actually the actors putting into the work and making these characters come alive, he did a phenomenal job. Brad Pitt and Javier Bardem's chemistry was off the charts. I was not expecting this at all between these two characters. I'm not expecting to see some similarities of Ocean's 11 in here. What I mean by that, they had this Danny Ocean's Rusty Ryan relationship to where they were so cool and they were so, like, their friends were so strong that they were finishing each other's sentences. It was kind of the same exact vibe you see with George Clooney and Brad Pitt, and I didn't know that was capable of happening. I thought only George and Brad can do that, but they did it, and it just shows how deep acting both of these characters can do, how they can bring these characters to life. And Harry's character, Ruben, is on the brink of losing his team. He's the owner of this team. They have not won any races. They didn't have any points at all at the time of when the film started. And just to see like the stress he was going through, and also how much he cared for his drivers and stuff like that, and the team and everything. Great Javier Bardem in this movie. And everyone he came across in this film, I just felt like Javier Bardem brought it. But I was not expecting to have an Ocean's 11 type relationship with kind of like Danny Ocean's and Rusty Ryan in this movie, and I was eating it up. I loved it because that's my favorite film. Cinematography in this film is stunning, and the sound design actually brings you right into the action, and the different shots that they used during this film was very creative, and I absolutely love it. Especially, it didn't matter if it was racing, they were training, or just in general, just the way they were using some of the camera angles they were doing. They used a POV shot, kind of like in Top Gun, where you actually feel like you're flying or driving. Same thing, you know, they had the camera in reverse too, so you could actually see the motion in the driver's face as well. And they used like other kind of cool camera angles to, like side of the car, even though there's POV, but it's kind of side of the car. But all these different feelings they presented in these camera angles felt real. And even when you were in the cockpit with them, whether either changing a tire or putting gas in the car or fixing a bumper or something like that, it felt like you were there, like you were actually sitting in the car and you were going through all this and you're trying to hear what's on from the crew. They let you know what the strategy is and all that stuff. And I thought that was really cool that they basically kept it really realistic, and I hope Formula One fans see that and felt the same way too. Sound design and the soundtrack was absolutely amazing. The soundtrack was done by Hans Zimmer, who does amazing work all the time. And the music he was using was very intense and fun and cool. And they also used some old songs too, like from the 90s and 80s, that kind of get you pumped up, revved up, kind of like that 90s feel vibes for these action films. But the design itself was absolutely fantastic. I love listening to how the cars were revving up right before they start the race, how they were zooming when they hit a certain turn. It was all this nice sounds and tricks that they put in the film to make you feel like you're really there. And that's what actually brings this film into life, make you feel like you're actually in the car. And that's what brings a lot of joy in this film, because they're actually doing things to make you feel like you're in the moment with the characters, and that makes the film absolutely fun to watch. To say again, it's how generic the story is. The story is a typical, easy, generic, paper-thin storyline. Same old story with the old guy returning back. Young guy hates and resents him. They find out that they gotta work together, they butt heads, and then they find something on common ground, they work together, and they achieve their goal. Yeah, that was basically how this movie is. But like I said, the actors and the director did a fantastic job elevating this plot and the dialogue so well that you know it's not a good story. You know the dialogue is not good. Some of the lines is just like, what the, like, who wrote this? It was delivered very well and so cool that you can't even get mad. You're basically chucking yourself as like, man, that was a bad line. But it was delivered so well that I love it. That's how this movie is, and I love that. That's what I love about this film. But, you know, like I said before, they did an amazing job just elevating the storyline and the dialogue to the point where you don't even care. Like, you just, so much fun. It's like, whatever, I know it's bad, who cares, I'm having fun. So they put a villain in the movie just to have a villain so they can defeat someone. And I thought the funny thing about this whole villain is one that even Brad Pitt in the movie acknowledges, like, oh, so you're the guy that did that. And the way he said it to the guy was absolutely hilarious, because he's actually acknowledging it. Yeah, okay, we got a villain now, so we need a villain. We need that betrayal, so you know we can have redemption and triumph at the end of the movie. So we have someone to defeat at the end, so everyone goes home happy. But I thought it was hilarious how Brad Pitt actually chewed that out and said, "Hey, yeah, we know we got to put a villain in." You can complain about, and it's not really a complaint. Like I said, all these things are kind of nitpicking, so it really doesn't bother me. But the movie could feel a little long. The movie's like 2 hours 35 minutes. I think they could have cut at least maybe 10 or 15 minutes. They do a long extensive scenes when it comes to the races, and I thought that was kind of cool how to do that. I really didn't mind, but I could see someone saying, "Oh man, I wish this movie was a little shorter," if you're not really into these kind of films. But it wasn't really negative for me, but I could see people complaining that it was a little bit long in the tooth. But I was having fun the entire time because it was just great acting, mindless fun, and that's why you're here. You're here to have fun. Final verdict. So I would score this movie 5 out of 5 snacks, and that's because even though the story, the dialogue, the villain is blah, everything else about this film is absolutely fantastic and amazing. And the characters are developed enough for you to like them, and that's a testament to the actors of this film. And everyone in this film does an amazing job. They actually elevated everyone that they had on paper and made them to a character that's likable and who you want to see on screen. The races, the way they shot them, the way they had the sound design with them was absolutely fun. And actually, I said, it keeps you at the edge of your seat. You feel the energy of those races, the training, everything. You feel everything when it comes to when they're in a car or even a simulation car. You feel what's going on, and that was what made it so fun to watch. You can tell Kosinski is a big fan of the like 80, 90 film movies, like the action films, and he uses the formula from those films in this way very well. He did it with Top Gun, he did it with this movie as well, and it just makes me happy as a kid who's like mid-40s watching this film, and just bringing me back in the 80s and 90s where all these cool movies like this were coming out. And he just hit every button that makes those movies tick so well, just perfectly. Overall, this is a great, fantastic film. I highly recommend this film. It's a true summer blockbuster, and go watch this in a high premiere theater, like your IMAX, your Premiere, your Dolby 4DX. I think it'd be amazing in 4DX, and you will not regret it. Just get your favorite snack, your favorite drink, kick back, put your legs up, turn your mind off for 2.5 hours, have some fun, and just watch this film. Just let me know in the comment section below, guys. What do you think about the film? Did you watch this film? Do you agree with what I say? Disagree? Let me know. And also tell us what your favorite nibble or snack is like to eat at the movie theater. And until then, until next time, keep munching, keep watching, and keep it real. Take care. Goodbye.